Now we will start with the main crux of this course, right? I know everything was theory earlier. uh Now we will go into the practicals of it. Okay, we'll actually see how things are working. Okay, we will be actually querying the data and taking the data from our tables. Okay, before going into this, I will tell you how will you be running the queries. Okay, so what you need to do first is open your browser. Okay, open a new tab. Okay, now go to Google and type in Oracle Live SQL. Okay, so you go to Oracle Live SQL. This is the URL. If you want, you can type also livesql.oracle.com. If you type this much in your Chrome or any web browser, you will be good to go. Otherwise, you can also Google up and this page will open. Okay, so this is where you can start your coding. Now see, Oracle has Oracle SQL Developer. There is MySQL Developer. There's an interface there. We have SQL Server Management Studio where you can write codes for T-SQL, right? There are many things, but there are limitations to those when you are learning SQL. Okay, I'll tell you the limitations. Now, one thing is when you are doing it through a software, you are restricted to only that machine. Now, for example, you are a student and you don't have a machine of your own. If you are, wherever you get a machine, you practice. If you have an account and you access your account through a browser, you can open your account anywhere in the world, through any place, okay, through any computer, and you can start practicing and learning. Whereas if you do that using a system, you are restricted to that system only. One more issue, okay, one more issue, if you are working with a system, uh sorry. So one more issue if you're working with a system is you have to install the software. Now installing a software is not that hard because you have YouTube tutorials and everything to guide you how to install a software. But then not every time you're successful. There are issues with with the systems. Okay, each one of our system might be a bit different, and then not everyone's system is compatible. We might have low RAM or the low requirements than what is needed, right? And then we can't install. So accessing through the browser is the best way you can access your tutorial, or you can write queries, you can practice, right? Okay, so you need to go to this place. Okay, and you need to sign in. Now, if you don't have an account already, what you need to do is you need to create an account. Okay, so once you click on sign in, okay, this is my own personal account. Now, if you don't have an account, you need to create an account. Okay, you will create an account, and once you create an account, let's see. You need to fill in these details. Okay, so you need to put in an email, password. Okay, you need to be aware of what are the limitations of the password, and you need to fill in accordingly. Okay, then country name, job title. So if you don't have a job right now, so you can put student as well, it's okay. Then you have the phone number, okay, and then company name. So if you're not working, you can always write you a student. You can put your address. You can be less specific. Okay, it's not needed. You need to put your complete house address. Okay, you can be very less specific by only giving the place you are from and the city and the state and the zip code. Okay, and then create the account. Okay, by this you will create an account. Most probably you will get a verification link on your mail ID which you provide. Okay, in this mail ID you have to go and you have to verify your account. Once you verify your account, you are all set to work on SQL. Okay, so once you verify your account, you are all set to work on SQL. Okay, now because I already have an account, I'll just sign in. Okay, sign in. Okay. I'll just take it to the dark theme. Start coding. Okay. Okay, let me just restart it again. I think I have some issue. Yay, by God's grace, I have logged in. Okay, sometimes I'll tell you that there are sometimes issues with Live SQL. It might show you some problems. Just try it again. So, like I switched off my browser, I closed my browser, and I restarted. So sessions and IDs, this kind of things happen. Okay, so that's fine. You can always retry and you can like close and you can open. Okay, now let me give you a walkthrough of this SQL worksheet. Okay, this is nothing but live SQL, okay, which is, provided by Oracle for students to, learn SQL better. Okay, you have many other places where you can do it online. You have W3 schools and many other places, but this is by far the best place where you can do your SQL coding. Okay, okay, so this is where you write your queries. Okay, this is the worksheet. Then if you have written some query here, so for example, let me write a query here, select star from table. Okay, this thing, there is a query. I will explain everything later. Now you want to clear, and you have many such queries written here right now, and you want to clear your worksheet. So you can click on clear, it clears out. Next you have find. So if you want to find about a table, employees. Okay, so employees. So you have read-only access to HR sample schema, which is fine. So the names of the tables that we have here is countries, departments, employees, employee details view, jobs history, locations, and region. So the tables that I have in the HR database, which is human resource database. Okay, the HR sample schema. And if I want, I can go into each of the table and I can have a good view of the table. Okay, there's a thing called copy query. So if I copy the query and I go here and I paste it, it is nothing but it is selecting everything. I'll tell you what this means. So basically your query was copied here. Okay, now next thing, I'm just running it because I want to show you some other things as well. In some more time I will show you how to run and everything. Okay, okay, to run a query, okay, either you write the query first and then you click on run, or you press control enter. Okay, if you press control enter, your query will run. This is the place you have your output. Okay, you have your output in this place. So you see these are the columns, okay, and these are the rows. Okay, now if you go extreme down, you see 107 rows selected, which means there are 107 records or 107 employees in my employees table. Now, if you want to download this data in database, then you click on download CSV. Once you click on download CSV, I click here and you see my data is downloaded now. Okay, so whatever output you see there, that will be downloaded, whatever output you see here. Now, one quick tip on this: when you use live SQL for the first time, your output will be restricted to 50 rows only, 50. Your output will be restricted to 50 rows only. Now, to change this limitation, what you need to do is you need to go to this actions, maximum rows preference. Here right now I've set it to 200 for mine. If you are for the first time, you will see it is in 50. You can put to 200. That is good enough for you to work here, because 100 you can't, because 107 rows we have in employees. Okay, so you can put to 200 and that should be fine. Okay, next thing, actions. Okay, now when I want to show for, when I want to see my the current session, see, I have not logged out till now, right? After I've run these queries, so I've run only one query right now. So if I want to see what are the queries I have run in this session, that is before after the time I've logged in during this session. So what are the queries I have run? I click on view session and I can see all the queries I have run and their output as well. Okay. So this is the query. It will run and it will give you this data. Okay, if you would have run multiple queries, all your queries would be shown here. So right now this is shown as statement 1. If you see here, this is written as statement 1. You can go first, you will have statement 2, statement 3, like this. You can sort in most recent or the most recent first or last. Okay, if you want to only see the statements, just click on this and the results will be hidden, or only the results, or both statements and results. I generally keep it here. Then include all statements. Do you want to see all the statements which you have run in this session, or you only want to see the errors? That means the query which errored out, or you want to exclude the errors and you only want to see those queries which actually ran. Okay, so you can use this. Okay, you can edit the query now, right now here, by clicking this edit. You can run this query once again. Okay, or you can delete this statement. That is, you don't want to keep a history of this statement, so you can delete this as well. Okay, so this is for the current statement, current session. Okay, now if you go back again, okay, so we have something called as, okay, I'll show that later. Before that, we have something called as shown line numbers. There's nothing but this line numbers, auto close brackets. So if you have brackets, then that will be auto closed. This is just the font size. You can increase or decrease as per your needs. Okay, then whatever showing you is your session. So this is the current session, right? If you wanted to see the previous session, so you go in this three lines. Okay, just next to live SQL, you have 3 lines. You go there. Okay, and you click on my session. Okay, you see everything you have in this session. Again, you can rerun this query, the complete session from here. You can replace the script, you can delete statements, or you can download the scripts as well. Now, if you want to see the previous sessions, you can do this for the last 10 sessions which we have done. Okay, so if you see last session was 6 days and 2 weeks and 3 weeks. Okay, like this we had the sessions. Okay, so now The current session is 46 minutes ago I logged in and it's still in use, right? The current session is 46 minutes over and still in use. Okay. So if you want to see a previous session, so for example, last session, or maybe if you're a student and you're thinking, okay, yesterday I ran some scripts, I want to see which scripts did I run. So you can always go here and go view session and you can see which were the queries you ran in last day. Okay. Okay, let's go back now. Okay, so now you know how to navigate through SQL, right? And now we will see how to use the interface to write queries. Okay, so everything that we are going to learn will have a syntax. Okay, it's okay if you don't understand the syntax right now, because syntaxes are difficult. When I was a student, I also felt it very difficult to understand the syntax. So what we'll generally do is we will see the examples quickly after looking at the syntax, so that with the help of example you can understand your syntax as well. Okay, now if you see this, writing basic SQL select statement. Okay, okay, now SQL has two operations. Okay, two famous operations: selection and projection. Okay, there are no notes on it, but I will tell. So if you want, you can write when I am speaking. So there are two things: selection and projection. Projection is nothing but where you are projecting the data you have. Okay, and projection deals with columns. Okay, projection deals with columns. So for example, I want to, if you see here, we have a table. Okay, this is a table where my data is stored. Okay, I want to show all the columns that we have in our table, right? If I want to show all the columns we have in our table, we put a star. So star indicates all. Okay, remember this, star indicates all. Okay, so if I want to show all the columns I have in my table, I use star. Now, if I don't want to show all the columns that I have in my table and I only want to show specific columns, I mention the names of the columns instead of putting a star. Okay, so I tell select department ID, comma location ID. Okay, so I've specified I only want these two columns from my table. So it will only show me these two columns. Now, this is called selecting because we are selecting data. Okay, but technically this is called projection. Okay, selection means when you are selecting which rows to show. Okay, so remember this, selection deals with the rows, projection deals with the columns. Okay, once again, selection deals with the rows, projection deals with the columns. Okay, this is how selection and projection works. Okay, right now we'll see how to fetch some data. Select identifies. Okay, one more thing, um each of these are okay, so this is select and this is from. Okay, so select identifies what columns. Okay, like I told you, select identifies which columns you want to show. From identifies which is a table from where you want to show. Okay, table is nothing but, like I showed you, it's a collection of rows and columns. For example, this employees is a table, and there we are dealing with departments table, right? So departments is a table in our database. I showed you just now, right, how we get data from the employees table and we can download the data, and I opened it in Excel, right, for you to see. By doing this for all the tables, right, I have put their data in each of the sheet. Okay, so this is how I got my data for departments. Okay, and if you see, we have four columns here: department ID, department name, manager ID, and location ID, right? Now if I write select star from HR dot departments. Is my spelling right? Let's check it out. And it ends with a semicolon. Now, semicolon, I'll tell you, semicolon is not necessary when you are just writing one query, it is fine. But when you have multiple queries, then you need a semicolon to separate one query from the other. Okay, semicolon colon is used when you want to separate one query from the other. Otherwise, without semicolon also your query will work fine. At least here. There are some places where semicolon is mandatory, differs again from language to language. You need to understand that, or before you start working, right? You, for example, people like even me, I have changed multiple companies in my career. Now, in my first company I used to use Oracle, in second company I used Amazon Redshift. Okay, right now I am using MySQL, right? So each of them has its own set of rules which minutely changes from one another. So before I start off with any new database, right? So what I do is I just Google out, I see what are the differences I have in that database, and I'm good to go, right? Okay, so this is nothing but the select clause. We call these as clauses. The select clause, you can write if you want all the columns or if you want only particular columns. Then from clause, in from clause we write from which table we want to pull our data from. Okay, from says from which tables we want to pull our data from. Now, if you see this example, select star, this pipe is nothing but or. Okay, so whenever you see this pipe, it will be or. So either you can just put a star, or you can put the column names like how we have it here. Okay, how we have it here, select the column names, or we can also put expression or the alias. Okay, alias along with the expression. Alias you can put along with a column as well. We will see what is an expression and what is an alias. For now, you just understand that we can also write expression along with alias or a column along with alias, okay, in the select statement. Or we can just write a star which will select all my data, all the columns, right? Distinct, you see this thing is in a square bracket. Anything, so it's a rule. Okay, anywhere you see a word or a keyword, basically, which is written in a square bracket, right? It means that that keyword is optional. Okay, that keyword is optional if you have something in the square bracket. So distinct is optional. Okay, we will see later what distinct means. Okay, so if you write distinct, that comes before the column or the expression. Okay, now you know this. Now let's query this. Select star from HR departments, and you get all your data. Okay, so you get all the columns which you wanted. And since we have not done any filtering on our data, we get all the rows. Now, if I just want two columns from here, okay, which is department ID, comma, department name, and I run. So I just get the two columns which I want to show, right? With department ID and department name, I just showed the column which I want to show. Not every column is being pulled here. Okay, this still remains the same because we have the table name here, and because we are pulling this column from this table, this will not change. Okay, now let's see some interesting facts about SQL. SQL statements are not case sensitive, which means you write select in small or in capital, it won't matter. Okay, next thing, okay, and it won't even throw an error as well. Okay, SQL statements can be one or more lines. So, like if you have seen, I have written it across two lines, which is okay. Until you put semicolon, SQL will consider this as a single query. So that's why semicolon is must. Keywords cannot be abbreviated or split across lines. Now, what does it mean? I can't put a space and segregate or split this keyword, because select is a keyword, right? You can just put SEL and this in the next line, ECT. You can't do this. This is wrong. Clauses are usually placed on separate line. Like I told you, these are clauses. So generally, these clauses are put in separate lines. Okay, this is better. Indents are used to enhance readability. Now, what are indents? The space that we have here, right? So we just call indentation. For example, for the clauses like select and form, we don't have any indentation. But for the column names, I have put an indentation here. So if you also want, what you can do is like this. You have the column names and you have a proper indentation here to show, okay, this falls under this clause, this falls under this clause. Okay, to show the header or the superiority also, we can use uh, formatting our query into next lines or using indentation. Default heading displays uppercase. Okay, so you see, whether you, even if you ask only for department and in department name in small letters, right, SQL will always show this to you in capital letters. That is how SQL is built.